everybody? Welcome back to another little podcast from HiFishGear. I'm here with one of my mentors, my mentors. This is Danny Chamizo. He is from the Ewa Beach community. He has been coming into our shop for quite a while. He ran the Ewa Beach fence line tournament. That's the way I was kind of introduced to you.
Yep.
Was through that, and we've been friends for coming up on probably like 10 plus years now. I think I was looking at the.
At least that.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
We have, through the years, just like so many conversations here in the shop. And we were able to have like really good conversations because we kind of like, we already know where we're at.
Right.
And we can skip through a lot of like, let me explain for the 5 minutes so I can only get to 1 minute conversation with you. But we're able to already kind of understand each other. So we have some really in-depth conversations. And I know that a lot of people would like to be part of those conversations, like, kind of tune in, so maybe they can learn something, or maybe they just, entertainment value. But I wanted to start off with, you're kind of a well-known tournament fisherman.
Yeah, I mean, I have over the years.
How many think you fished?
I think I started in maybe 98 fishing tournaments.
So we're looking at 26 years already.
Yeah, maybe 2 to 3 a year.
You think you did 100 or not 100 yet?
I don't know. You'd have to add that up. And that.
What do you think what was the win that you were most proud of?
I gotta tell you, it wasn't a win.
Okay.
It was Island Shorecasters tournament when I caught my first ulua that I felt was significant.
Okay.
Didn't place, but it was 26 pounds.
Yeah.
And I think that was
the one that you were most proud of.
Because that was, I had caught, in the 9s and the 10s and the 11s, but I had never caught anything in the 20. And so that was kind of the...
How long ago was that?
2003. I remember that, yeah.
Island Shortcut. Are they still doing tournaments or no?
No.
Wow. So you played most of the GTs.
I played most of the GTs.
And the reason why I wanted to talk about tournaments was because right now we got the Obake, what is it called? Shootout?
Yeah, shootout, yeah.
Obake Shootout. Who runs that one?
That is Sandy and Mike Arakaki.
Okay.
At La Pac.
I got you.
And the weigh-in is at POP.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's going to be this Sunday. But you're not playing it.
I got a little bit of a frozen shoulder going on.
Oof.
Yeah. So...
Rotor cup kind.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I'm going to have to sit this one out. Yeah.
And you played pretty much all of them, huh?
I try not to miss any tournaments. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you prep for a tournament. Like, our island tournaments usually start Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the start fish. It's usually Friday a.m., right?
Usually 6 a.m.
6 a.m. on Fridays.
Yeah.
You have most of the day Friday. You have all day Saturday.
Right.
And then Sunday is usually like a cutoff about midday.
Yeah, most of the weigh-ins are noon to 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then stop fish is like 10 or 11 o'clock and stuff
They
like
don't
that.
actually put a stop fish anymore. They just kind of know that, you're going to have to be... I mean, some of them still, but most of them just go, okay, you got to be in line before 1.
So you can fish all the way until you can.
Fish all the way.
As long as you're in line... Mm-hmm. For the weigh-in at a certain time, you can enter your fish.
Yeah.
So there is it makes sense.
Right,
makes sense.
Right.
But let's talk about how you go through the prep for, and like even when it begins. Like, when do you start? Like, you start weeks in advance?
Maybe that week, maybe Monday. I mean, I'm retired, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's talk about back in the day when you was employed too.
Okay, so when I was working, I was a firefighter, so I could do a lot of the stuff at work. I could tie hooks.
Yeah.
So I would probably start maybe Monday.
Okay.
Start making leaders, depending on what I was going to do.
You had to have a magic number. Like, how many rigs would you have set up?
I would probably try to hit around 30.
30. Those are pre-tied rigs based on the bait?
So if I was walking out, it would always be the 24 BKN with the 80
leader.
Yozuri. So I'd make at least 30 of those.
You tie that throughout the week. the bait.
Back then, I wasn't diving for taco yet.
Yeah.
So I would, you know,
Taco diver.
I would get, you know.
You gotta edit that out.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. But a lot of times I would have frozen taco. And
Okay.
the frozen taco was just the start. You know, I'd have some old eel that had scraped and I saved the bones. That's my sand turtle bait. I would have that ready. I'd have it cut in chunks. You know, I'd have my rods with hooks on them, short rods with hooks for the bait to put on for sand turtles. I had 3 or 4 where I'm fishing.
Rods. For the sand turtles, you put them on rods or?
Yeah, you know, old, like, pieces of old spears, something nice and thin.
Just you could ram them into the sand.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, with a hook on it.
You got your bait kind of lined up. You got
Right.
stuff in the freezer.
Right.
You would always try to get fresh taco?
No.
No?
No.
That's the big thing leading up to tournaments. Fresh taco is hard for find.
Yeah, but I mean, the fresh taco is good.
Yeah.
I would just kind of go with what I had.
As we get closer to the day of the tournament,
Yeah.
what are you doing to prep for it? You've already got your leaders tied for the week. Are you just servicing your reels or?
Yeah, I'm making sure I change all the lines on the reels I'm going to use. That's pretty much it.
Would you
know?
go? I mean, would you not change the line? Or all automatic?
I mean, you know, on that last time we talked, I had made the mistake of not changing the line.
Okay.
You know, so I try to change it, even if it's just been a week or 2, which normally it wouldn't be. It'd be at least a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'll change the line because I never want to lose a fish when I think I was the problem, where I didn't have fresh line, I didn't tie my hooks right, I didn't tie it to my main line right. Mm-hmm. If I lose a fish and it's just cuts off or whatever, okay. Yeah.
But if it's something that
Yeah.
you failed to do,
Yeah. Cannot sleep.
yeah,
Cannot sleep. If it's other than that, especially in a tournament, because there's times when you're going to lose a fish right on shore and you go, wow, that I probably could have placed with. And you got to just go, okay, suck it up and just...
Did you have some moments like that through the years?
I have had those moments.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know you probably changed throughout the years in regard. You probably go with a lot less gear than you started with.
I do.
But do you always fish Ewa Beach? That's it?
So in those first probably 15 years, it was strictly Ewa Beach.
Okay.
And basically every trail, road, every one you could go down, every path, like you tell everybody, that's where I would fish.
Well, being from the neighborhood, you know
Yeah.
every spot
Yeah.
from fence line to
Yes,
fence line.
yes.
And you kind of know certain spots are more productive. But you were just telling me a little while ago that the moon this weekend
Yes.
is perfect for Ewa Beach.
Yes, yes.
Now let me ask you a question though. You say the moon is good for Ewa Beach. Do you feel like other spots it's not good, the same moon?
It works because I fish a lot in Kaneohe,
Yeah,
and it works there too, the dark moon.
dark moon.
But is it me because that's pretty much all I fish? Or is it
The actual conditions
the actual conditions? I feel it is the dark moon works.
works for you.
Yeah.
For me, like, I've always just made it a practice of not, because I don't want to get discouraged thinking
Right,
like, okay,
right.
hey, I get a fish this weekend. The tide is
Right,
bad and the moon is bright and I don't even want to bother.
Right.
I don't ever want to get to that point. I don't care the tides.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll care about the weather conditions. I'll care about the waves. I don't want to get in an unsafe predicament, but as long as I can be safe, I don't care the tide conditions or the time of the day. I'll just go fish because if I don't take that opportunity, I might not get one for another while.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
if the time is right and all that good stuff, you just get dropped off, right?
Yeah. But at first, when I first started, I would just take my truck and just go.
Yeah.
And I would just, like I said, go from spot to spot. So in one, and I was fishing mainly day because I was targeting eel.
Okay.
And in one day of fishing, I might go to 10 different spots. Yeah.
Wow.
Get out of the water, put all my poles on my pipe rack, still have my tobbies on to the next spot in the water again.
So a lot of people that I know, they go one spot.
Mm-hmm.
They might fish all day Friday one spot,
Right.
but if they get a bad feeling about it, or like it's just not the action, they'll go
Right.
maybe Saturday to go to a different spot.
Right.
But the way that I see it, like a lot of tournaments now, like this weekend, I already know along Ewa Beach,
Yeah.
I know that there's probably about 4 or 5, not just guys, but like groups of people that are going to be
Right,
fishing the
right.
tournament. So if you jump spots, you don't know if the next spot's going to be available unless you got inside sources.
Well, that was the good thing. Back then, I pretty much had Ewa Beach to myself. I can't remember a time, and I would ask guys if I see them fishing, oh, you guys in the tournament? No. So I pretty much had this place to myself.
Nobody else would fish Ewa Beach because it's
Nobody?
not a.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a legendary place for fish.
Right. Right.
But it's kind of got that way now.
It's got it. Yeah.
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 A little bit more people are coming down for tournaments and
Right.
fishing.
Right.
You had Haubusch's 100, and you had Preston's 100 for the GT Masters.
Right.
And then we had what's his name? Circle House.
Oh.
He caught it right next to
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have his reel too, and I can't remember his name. I have to edit that one out.
Yeah.
But it was 129 or something like that. Good size fish.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, they're there.
And Lance,
now,
yeah. Lance
got what's it?
Bosino, he was like high 90s.
Okay, high 90s.
Yeah. Very high 90s.
That was in the 2000s, right?
Yeah, I want to say very early.
For a tournament or no?
No. He never
Just bring
entered
it up.
tournaments. Yeah.
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 All right, so Friday morning rolls around,
Yeah.
and you say you only fish daytime. Are you...
When I first started, that's all I was fishing.
Okay.
Was daytime. Yeah. So the tournament starts at 6. I'm at my spot ready to go at 5.
Okay.
My first spot that I feel is
Rods and reels all lined up, ready to cast out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5:45, the bait is on the poles in the sand spike. 6 o'clock, boom, they're all in the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long would you fish for at that first spot?
Probably until they stop biting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can usually tell right away.
Or not biting at all.
Not biting at all.
Yeah.
See, that's one question we get from a lot of people is like, when do you give up?
Yeah, see, it's tougher now because, like you said, you might give up that spot, try to go to the next spot, and somebody is there.
Back in the day, you would give up like what? Maybe like 3 or 4 hours?
If I, because I walked out, right? That's how I fished Ewa Beach. I always walked out. If I didn't have a bite within the first 2 walkouts, I was out of there.
Because you are getting it in the perfect zone when you're walking
Yes.
out. Because
Yeah.
you're not only getting close to it, you can, as you're walking out, you can actually see target areas.
Right.
Thumb shot it.
Right.
So if you guys don't understand what he's talking about by walking out, in tournaments here on Oahu, you have to have your feet firmly planted on the ground, and they expect people to cast from shore. But here in Ewa Beach, we have such a shallow water that goes out 3/4 of a
Right.
mile. A lot of the target stuff is beyond 150, 200 yards.
Yeah.
So what a lot of people here will do is they'll walk out with their poles in their hands, and I seen you do it one time. I was
Right.
impressed. You were up to your neck, and you cast out. But from what I heard, that style of Ewa Beach fishing kind of made some clubs change their rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think one tournament I had entered, when the application came out, it had said no walking out. Okay, so then the guy I know, he was running it. He gave me a call. He said, "Hey, Dan, you're not entering?" I said, "No, that's how I fish. I walk out. It's your tournament. You guys make the rules." And he's like, "Well, that's not how we meant it to be."
Sounds pretty cut
and I
and
said,
dry.
"Yeah, that's what I thought."
Yeah.
So I didn't enter, and then the next year it wasn't in there anymore.
Oh, they took it out.
They took it
All
out.
right.
Yeah. At that time, I was targeting strictly OEO. So the Olua and the Papio would pay out a little more, but I just thought, okay, my better chance was always OEO. So there was less guys competing
Was it just like side jackpot or what?
No, it was a place, but it might have been 50% of what the Olua money was.
Okay.
So I was just like, I could go to a tournament and maybe weigh a fish between 6 and 8 pounds and usually, place. Nowadays, the tournaments have pretty much made all the money even. And so now you'll see, I can't even compete. These OEO are start at 8, go to 11.
There's some big, I was surprised. I've been seeing some big ones come up lately.
And in Ewa Beach, I've been struggling to catch anything 5 pounds.
You say you only fish daytime during the tournament.
Yeah.
So what happens when it starts getting dark? What do you do?
My 4 times that I will fish is the morning. And so on Saturday, it's still dark and I'm walking out already.
Okay.
Because that's, you can go.
Would you pack up for the night, go home, come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed that with a lot of like real seasoned Olua fishermen. Like they're not there 24/7 for the whole tournament. They're there for the beginning to maybe sunset. If it's Olua, they're bait out a little bit after sunset, sleep.
Right.
But some guys pack it up. Like a lot of guys I know that especially if it's a Olua tournament, they'll pack it up about 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
After the sun came up, they'll pack it up, go home, shower, rest, whatever, come back before sunset. So you were like the opposite. You would pack it up nighttime, come back early morning.
Because I'm targeting OEO.
Okay.
OEO, you don't get a lot of bites at night.
Not really at all.
Yeah.
I've only caught OEO.
Yeah.
Early morning, sunset, and leaning more towards the sunset time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'll go first thing in the morning, no matter what the tide is. But say the tide is at 1.5 foot at 6 a.m. Okay. So that's a little high to walk out, but you still walk out. But if it's dropping and at noon it's goes to a 0 and it's rising, I'm staying. I'm fishing.
Okay.
Because any 0 rising tide, I'm fishing. I don't care what time it is.
That's for OEO.
That's for OEO because I'm walking out. I'm trying to get as far out. This is Ewa Beach strictly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get as far out as I can legally.
I got you.
Yeah.
That makes sense though, because 0 the right tide, you can get out a lot further than you normally can.
Right.
Because where it normally is 8 foot, now it's like 7 foot.
Right.
Or like, not 8 foot, but like 6 foot, now it's like 5.
Yeah.
And you have a little bit more distance you can get. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you pack it up nighttime, you come back early morning. Depending on the tide, sometimes you'll stay a little bit later. So the last night, you're usually at home.
Last night, I'm usually at home because Sunday morning, I'm fishing again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you would, depending on what you had in a cooler. What if you caught something Friday night? Are you still fishing Sunday morning?
One time, I caught first walk out Friday morning, 6 a.m., threw it out. Before I even got back, hooked up, it was over 7 pounds. And I was telling myself, okay, this is probably a good chance of placing. But you just started. You got to keep fishing. But it was very difficult to stay focused. But I could then start. Okay, maybe I'll try for Olua.
Okay.
At that point,
Is that what you did during that last one?
The last one was an OEO tournament.
Yeah.
So I was targeting OEO.
And you happened to catch the Olua.
Yeah.
What was the payout for the Olua versus the OEO normally?
Well, because that tournament, the Olua and the Papio are jackpots, side jackpots.
Okay.
So they're not as much.
Yeah.
As, like, I think first place OEO might be like $1,200. The side jackpot first place Olua is about $5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this was the I wanted to mention you're a member of KKC.
KKC, yeah.
Kakako Casting Club.
Yeah.
It's one of the older clubs on Oahu.
Atlapac is by far the oldest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And KKC is.
But when was that established?
They were just talking about that. I want to say in the 70s.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's got some good years behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long have you been a member?
Only about right after pandemic, I decided I'm going to join a club. So maybe
Before
3
that, you were
years. Yeah.
unaffiliated.
Yeah, just lone wolf. You
Yeah.
know, just kind of doing my thing.
But I've been noticing like more and more people that like I know them from customers and stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that I know are members of the KKC.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it, and it's always a good people, and I love the way that they run their tournaments. And I've said it in public because I was hoping more clubs would follow their examples of how you
Right.
guys run it, and it's really good. And shout out once again to the people that run KKC. Great tournaments.
Yeah.
And also the Obake is another great tournament.
Yes.
They're very
yes.
experienced. in
Oh
it.
yeah, Sandy
And
and Mike. Yeah,
yeah.
solid.
I have to say, I know that your favorite tackle store is Waipahu Bicycle.
Right.
And Chris, Keith,
Yeah.
you've been going there
Keith
for the
is
longest
gone.
time.
Keith is retired.
He was retired.
Yeah.
But Chris is running it
Chris
now.
is yeah.
And Waipahu
yeah.
Bicycle, it's always been a great place, like
Right.
for me to stop through the years. Of course, once we got this place, I don't go there as much unless I'm just going for talk story and stuff. But you've been going to Waipahu Bicycle for what? Long time, probably.
I mean, I can remember going there with my dad buying a lawnmower from Buster. He used
Yeah.
to sell lawnmowers, and my dad is 94,
Yeah.
still kicking. So that's a long time ago, you know.
But back in the early 80s, we went in there to get tires replaced or new
Yeah.
tires for the bike.
Right.
And I like it because that, for the longest time, that was like Leeward's only real,
Yeah.
like, sporting goods, you know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, our Kawas was across the street for, like, other stuff.
Right.
But that Waipahu Bicycle was always the place for, like, fishing gear, talk about fishing, like, place to hang out, too.
Right, yeah.
I noticed you do a lot of kind of cruising there.
Yeah, they had the chairs and everything. You could sit down, you know.
The lounge.
Yeah.
Well, there must have been, like, lots of good conversations like we have here, you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
through the years.
Yeah.
That not everybody get a chance to actually hear. And there's just, you know, people bouncing around ideas,
Right,
come
right.
up with great stuff. That
Yeah.
I'm sure you've probably heard some things in tackle shops through the years, like, oh, yeah, that sounds like a good way to try to do
Yeah.
things, and that's kind of what I'm trying to recreate here.
Right.
Is just the conversations that we have.
Yeah.
But
And Keith was one of my mentors.
yeah,
He taught me a lot. He's kind of the guy that got me into the conventionals, the bait casting.
What was
Yeah.
your first conventional reel
It would have been a jig master
back in the day?
back in the day.
Aluminum or metal spool?
Gee, I don't remember. It was somebody that worked with my dad. I borrowed his pole.
Yeah.
At least a 14-foot one piece. You know.
And we were just looking at some one pieces in the
Yeah.
warehouse right now.
The person I learned from in Ewa Beach was Lance Bosino.
Yeah.
And I'm always the type, like, if I go to the beach, if I'm fishing and I see somebody catching, I'm drawn to that person. I want to know, you know. Now, they're not going to share everything with you. You know, you got to go over there politely. You got to, at first, maybe, you know, just kind of observe. But I'm always drawn to the guy that's catching fish. That's who I want to learn from. I don't want to learn from the guy that's not catching fish.
Yeah.
You know?
But I like that too. And there's different kinds of. You can tell by the vibe of somebody when they bring it up on fish. Big fish, lift them up. Not stopping for take picture, not
Right.
celebrating.
Right.
Woo! Just
Yeah.
take that ulua, walk right up to the cooler,
Right.
put them in, sit down, light cigarette.
Yeah.
Like real
Yeah.
That's the guy I like go
That's-
talk to.
yeah.
How you doing, Uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah, some nice ulua you caught.
Yeah.
You know, and usually you can tell if you like talk story or not. Oh yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah.
a lot of times, nothing that ulua.
Yeah.
That's the one that I usually approach.
Yeah.
But how did you meet Lance? Just around the day?
So me and Lance played football together for Ever Hurricanes
Okay.
back in the day, and then, you know, so that was, you know, late '60s, early '70s, and then, you know, I went to school. I went to Catholic school, so I didn't see all of those guys, you know, going to Ewa Beach Elementary and, you know,
So you went to
Ilima.
OPH.
I went to OPH, St. Joseph, and then Damien.
Okay.
So I was kind of out of the loop, right? So then, I think when I got back out of the Air Force, '84, moved back to Ewa Beach, started fishing, mostly whipping. But, you know, I'd always go down Haubusch, and I'd always see Because everybody knew Lance. He had that blue Nissan 4-wheel drive truck.
Lifted.
Right? Yeah.
Nice.
Just a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But he had that truck. And he was always, you know, he would always just be by himself. You know, that's how he fished. And he walked out. And I would watch him, and I would watch him just catch fish constantly. You know? And, you know, like I said, you can't just approach somebody. Even though I grew up with this guy, you know, we hadn't seen each other for years, right? So, you know, one day I just, you know, no gear at all, just, you know, hey, Lance, hey, how's it? Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time. You know, Lance, very quiet, you know. Me, I'm Portuguese, so I'm doing most of the talking, right? You know, man, I see you catching fish, yeah. Super low key. No, you know, nothing. You know, you just, and so slowly I would have my gear, but I wouldn't fish with him. I would just stop, because that's when Haubusch was open in the back. So he would be fishing, I would stop. Hey, how's it, Lance? How's it going? Oh, good. All right. And then I would go to my spot. But he let me see what he was using, you know, as far as, and very basic. He was a size 20 BKN on an 80 Maxima leader.
Okay.
And he would throw jig masters, you know, on like a 14-foot one piece.
What was his main line, you think?
I would say 40.
Okay.
And I was always amazed that he could walk out and cast conventionals in the water.
When you're up to your like waist
Yeah.
or neck or...
I could not. I tried, I couldn't. So I went to the spinners, and I did it that way. 850 pens is what I started with. Ugly stick, 12 foot. And then I kind of mimicked what he was doing. But I would not fish with him, you know, I wouldn't.
You'd fish off to the side or something like that.
Because Lance, he liked to fish by himself. You know, he'd have his kids, they'd come down, they'd have a good time, you know. But eventually then there would be times when, you know, I would just fish with them.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Kind of make friends that way. You know,
yeah, I mean, you know, we had known each other since we were, what, 9, 8 maybe?
But that's cool that you were respectful of that, because a lot of times people go out, you know, decompressing,
right?
You know, and you don't know if your vibe is gonna like match with whatever they're trying to. Maybe they're trying to sort something out.
Right.
Maybe they get one hard, stressful job, and this is the only time they get clear head and they don't have to think about stuff. So it's that's very respectful of you not to just like, hey, what are you doing today, brother?
Right,
You like fish today? Can cruise over here. You know, just like, hey, see you later.
Yeah.
Walk down, say how's it. There must have been a bunch of times where you just kind of just gave each other a nod, and that's about it.
Yeah, you know, and I actually seen Lance sometimes. Somebody would come next to him and start fishing, and he would not say a word, just start reeling up his poles, not ever look at that person, no animosity, anything, just pack everything up, and he would just leave.
Wow. That's the way, no drama.
But he never had any drama.
That's
you
cool.
know, I didn't have his phone number. He didn't have my phone number. We just fished, you know, the same stretch of beaches.
Yeah.
But I was always very respectful, because if Lance was there, I'm not going to fish there because he's there. I'm actually going to like not even go down the beach. I'm going to get in my truck and go someplace else. Whereas the back of Haubusch, there was enough room where
everybody could get a spot.
Yeah. But we still would be, you know, a good distance away.
Yeah.
You know.
And I remember, speaking of Haubusch, one of your main goals with that fence line to fence line tournament was to kind of educate the fishermen in Ewa Beach about what was going on with Haubusch in regards to changes.
Yeah.
So we got to the point now where what you were fighting for happened.
Yeah.
Haubusch is now a closed from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. or something like that.
I think so.
10 to 5. And that was kind of when you stopped the tournament, was right around that time, because that was your whole goal, was just to keep, you know, it's a great way to get in touch with everybody from the Ewa Beach community that fishes. Not everybody fishes every day. Some people fish maybe 4 or 5 times a year, but this is a great way of getting everybody together, getting a record of everybody's name and number in
Yeah.
case we ever need to reach out and contact, which was
Right.
great. And I appreciated that. And that was the reason why you held the fence line tournament.
Yeah. At that time, there was 283 parks, city and county parks on Oahu.
Mhm.
And Haubusch was the only one that was still open at night.
Yeah.
There might have been a few that, but as far as I knew, that was the only one that. And the thing is Haubusch is very unique in Ewa Beach because at that time, there was no houses around it. So I could maybe see other parks where there's houses around it, people are making a lot of noise, but Haubusch it's out there all by itself. And not only fishermen. There's people that are living 10 people in a house. Maybe they need a couple hours just to sit in their car, maybe smoke a cigarette, maybe drink a beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't just fishermen.
Yeah.
And it could be at any time.
Yeah. That's kind of what Haubusch has always been. It's been a meeting place. It's been, birthday party. We're at
Right.
Haubusch. I've been to graduation parties at Haubusch.
Right.
Like it's just a place where people can kind of, our neighborhood's place to kind of come. But
Yeah.
as the land around Haubusch got
Right.
bought and sold and finally started to develop now, where you have houses all the way from Fort Weaver all the way to Barbers Point fence line. You have houses the entire way, golf courses, lagoons. Was supposed to be a harbor.
Yeah.
Things change, and it's all happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
To now they're trying to sell beachfront homes right in front of Lions Club.
Yeah, they just started building those,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Lions Club, and there used to be a chicken farm back there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mr. Park?
things change.
Yeah.
Things change to
Chicken
the
farm.
years. This moment right here was inspired. The reason why this studio is here and these mics are here was inspired by a conversation that we had. Wasn't being recorded.
Right.
It was just a conversation. We were just having an open, man-to-man
Right.
conversation about fishing. And you told me about one of your first mentors in fishing when you were growing up as a keiki. Your grandma.
My grandma, yeah.
Your grandma, and where was she from?
So she was from Maui originally,
Yeah.
and then they lived on Pelly Street, Punch Bowl.
Okay.
That's
Downside.
that's where my mom, grew up. But my uncle had a beach house, not Cavella Bay, kind of to the right of Cavella Bay. There's an
When you're
island.
facing the ocean.
When you're facing the ocean, there's an island straight in front of it. So it's not, I say Cavella Bay, but it's to the right of it, more towards Turtle Bay.
So as soon as so in between Cavella Bay and Turtle Bay,
Yeah.
there was a little stretch of houses.
Yes.
And that's where your uncle's house
And
was.
that's where he had and so summers we would go there and spend the summers there.
Like the entire summer from
Yeah.
like months at a time.
I mean we would come and go, but yeah.
Most of the time.
And it was just a shack, no bedrooms, just punais all along the walls, one bathroom.
Nice.
And everybody would just and she was the one.
That got you into fishing. To begin with.
Yeah.
You painted a picture that is burned in my mind of just she wasn't teaching you fishing. You were her guru.
Yeah, never cast one of her poles, never reeled. Well, she only had one pole.
Yeah.
Never reeled in a fish. No, catch sand turtles and sand crabs.
That's all you did.
That's all you did.
Catching
and carried
sand.
a burlap bag that was usually had some fish in it.
And she would just take you out, and you would be her fishing assistant.
Yeah. We would head out maybe at 5 a.m. and walk towards where Turtle Bay is now. Walk that way. She had her spots. She had one pole. She had a spinner. It was a Fenwick, maybe 11 foot. And it's one of those Abu Mitchell Garcia
Black ones, yeah.
with the big handle, the big round.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
That
about.
was her pole. She only had one pole. No sand spike.
Suji line.
Suji, and then whatever. Usually Ika. She would bring with, and we might only spend maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, but she'd hit her spots, and we pretty much always came home with OEO. It's like she said later on. She said, I always knew you were the fisherman because I always left at 5 o'clock or 5:30, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And whoever was up was up. She wasn't going to get my other cousins up. It's whoever got up went. And I was the one who would go the most with her.
Can you tell me the story about the fish that she lost? Because that was the one that...
Oh, the one, yeah. She smoked territons. I don't even know if they make territon cigarettes anymore.
I've never seen them.
And she always had this shirt that had the cigarette pocket right here. Every once in a while, she would hook an olua and land it. Every once in a while. Mostly oil, papio. And so she had the cigarette in her mouth, right? And she had it in her mouth. She was fighting. It was big, you know, 20, 30 pounds maybe. You know, it wasn't an oil. And what happened was it kind of like, I guess either it came in or it slipped a little, maybe the lead stuck and it slipped. The pole slipped back with her and her cigarette hit the suji. And boom, she fell on her butt, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, Grandma, your cigarette? No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You know, and that was the end of the conversation. But her cigarette hit the suji.
And she lost what was a good size.
And she lost, yeah. I was surprised the pole didn't hit her in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grandma out there, you tagging along.
Yeah.
Like that conversation, like this is probably, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years ago that we had this conversation.
Right.
And I just kept thinking from that story of, because, you know, in our conversation, we were probably talking for like half an hour before we got to that story.
Right.
But you painted a picture of you would light the cigarettes for her.
Yeah, I was gonna go
you
there.
See, this is how much it burned in my brain because you took me there along with you and your grandma.
Right.
Out walking the shorelines, just you and her.
Yeah.
Going out there and just hunting for fish.
Yeah.
And you would come back and she must have made the best lomi.
Yeah, she would make raw and then she would make fish cake.
All right.
Yeah, because they all drank, so that was for later on, the raw.
Yeah.
But yeah, she would. So, you know, if she was fighting something big, she would tell me, you know, they called me JR. That was my kid name. She said, JR, get my cigarettes out, right? Get it out. She had the Zippo. I would light it, take a couple puffs, light it, and stick it in her mouth, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, nowadays, right? But when I knew it was a big olua is when she told me light another one.
Yeah.
Then I knew we were, that might only happen a couple of times.
Yeah.
You know?
So you seem to bring up some decent size.
Yeah,
olua.
and my thing was, oh man, I gotta carry this back in a burlap bag, you know? But I wouldn't say, because she was probably running about 30-pound test, 25.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say there were more than, nobody weighed them, maybe 35, maybe.
It's good size.
Yeah,
man.
maybe that was the biggest, maybe.
So back in the day, would there be a lot of hoopla around it when she caught the lure?
No.
Not really. Huh?
No.
Just another day in the country. Huh?
Just another day, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that more was when the bag was empty.
Nah.
You know, coming, what? No fish? You know? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see that's when we had that conversation. Like that is the kind of thing that I wanted to hear. Like,
Right.
wanted like that story. Like it touched me, man. It really did.
Right.
And I wanted to share those stories with people, and that was from your conversation.
Right.
Was the seed that was planted that turned into the studio, and that's the reason why you're here doing, you know, having another conversation.
Right. So everybody dove too. So they all had hinge guns, right? My uncles, my cousins.
I've seen a couple of them, yeah.
All hinge guns, you know, single spears, right? So as we got old enough, she said, okay, you guys can start using that. But my rule is anything you catch, you eat, right? Okay. So me and my cousin, we decided, okay, we're going to kill a bunch of hinalea, right?
Yeah.
Well, we had to eat all that hinalea because that was her rule. Well, we never killed another hinalea with a hinge gun again. But that was a lesson learned.
Taught you a lesson. That's a great lesson too.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna eat it, Don't kill it.
And I carry that to this day. You know, I try not to waste any fish that I catch at all.
I'll be honest. I had a couple instances where I might have wasted a fish, and it really, really bugged me.
Right.
Especially like, bring home a fish, dinner's already on the table, so I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow. Oh, I'm gonna freeze it. Oh, it's already bad. Like that just bugs me. And I try not to now. Is like the last Olua that I caught, it came up, and I said, hey, I already know this weekend's
right.
We got guests here. This is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna prep this. I said, hey, grab that camera. We're gonna take pictures. This is going back in the water ASAP. Yeah. Like I already knew already. Like, there's no chance I got any time to stop and prep this fish, or even go to the store, get ice and keep them on ice for days. So I always process that as soon as I got it on my line. Okay, do I have the time?
Right.
Am I bringing it home? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like that's the kind of thing.
Can I tell one more story about my grandma?
Absolutely. I want to hear them all.
So then, now we're in high school. Now I'm driving, right? So she would come down to Ewa Beach and stay with us at times, right? So we would fish Iroquois in front of the officers' housing. You could just drive in there, and we would fish there. And it was mainly o'eo and popio. At that time, then I was throwing the conventionals. My dad's co-worker used his rod, jig master. My friend with me, grandma still had her same rod, right? We finally got her a sand spike, And you know what? I don't care how many times we fished with 3 poles each and she had her one, she always outfished us. Some people just have it. I know a few people. They just have it,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Jesse is one of those.
I would say Jesse is one.
Jesse's one of those kids.
Yeah.
Cree, Cree? Chris?
Yeah.
He's another guy.
Yeah.
They just have this natural instinct. I tell you the truth, I don't have it.
No, I don't.
But I'm persistent.
I'm a grinder.
Yeah, I'm a grinder as well.
I'm a grinder, yeah.
But those people that just have that natural instinct, they just zoom in. Mm-hmm. They know where the fish are. They just have that gut instinct. And it's hard to explain other than just saying it's just a mana, you know?
I mean, I would watch my grandma, especially at Iroquois, as I was older. We would be bombing our baits out, right?
Yeah.
Love to watch our lead and bait fly 100 yards. Maybe not 100 yards.
No, it's 120 every time.
Yeah. And then, she would just throw it to the right, right off the shore. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's not good. Yeah, nothing's going to happen. 5 minutes later, hooked up, throw it to the left, throw it short,
Was Lance one of those guys too? They just had it?
I would say he was instinctual. I would say. Yeah.
I wonder if it can be taught.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you one time. I came out of the back of Haubusch. I had my biggest o'eo, 9.5 pounds. Biggest. I've never caught one 10 pounds. That's still what I'm shooting for. Came out of the back. Had this. I'm Portuguese. I see Lance. Oh, I'm going to stop and brag about my fish, right? So I stop. Hey, Lance. Come check out this fish I got. Oh, yeah, nice, Danny, And I'm talking about myself and my fishing, and finally I'm like, okay, maybe I should ask Lance how he's doing, right? I caught a couple, right? Well, can I look? Yeah. Open his cooler. They're probably 10 and 11 pound OEO. I close the cooler and I go, oh, you're such an ass to myself, Here I was just on a high.
Yeah.
And Lance is just like another day, of fishing.
And the thing is, he never cut you off. He let you have your moment.
No. See, that was the thing with Lance. He was a man of few words. And so as soon as he talked, you had to listen. Because that's when he was teaching you something. But if you didn't listen, you would have missed. And he wasn't going to say it again.
I know. I like coming across people like that. I had a chance to fish with Norman. You know, Isa.
Yeah.
And I could just he was very open and very like casual, but he came down and fished with Jeff behind my house. I think it was for the fence lane tournament, or it might have been for another tournament or something. But just in that one afternoon, they only came to fish one afternoon. But I mean, I learned how to strip taco legs.
Yeah.
I learned how to let the taco dry out a little bit before you cast it. Like I leave them up here hanging a little bit.
Right.
Just all these little techniques that you learned along the way. And if you're yapping too much or doing your own thing, and you're not stopping to just listen,
right,
you might not learn anything. You know, and that's one of the reasons why here we are.
Right.
We're talking.
Yeah.
And you know, we get to share our experiences. We get to share our information that we've learned and gathered through the years. Not a lot of stuff that we came up with. It's just stuff that we picked up through the years from our friends, our fishing associates, or just reading books and stuff like that.
And he was the one that taught me about the eel. So any eel that he would catch, maybe not every eel, but what he would do is, you know, in Ewa Beach, we're going to catch the moray eels, the puss heads, you know, small ones, right?
Yeah.
And what he would do is he would cut the head off right away. Now you don't have to worry about it biting you. You know, the head was gone, right? And then he would strip it like a piece of taco.
That's skill, though, bro.
Well, all you have to do is cut at the very top, just a small little cut at the top of the skin, and work that sand in there. I mean, and you can peel the skin right back.
And it's still wiggling and all that stuff,
It's still squirming, but you don't have to worry because the head is gone.
Yeah.
And then you fillet that, just fillet it into these beautiful pieces of bait that, you know, kind of resemble taco.
Okay.
And what I noticed with eel, and so that was something that he wasn't telling me. I just happened to be watching him, and I'm like, wow, okay. And to this day, that is one of my favorite baits.
Peeled eel.
Yeah.
Would it stay on the hook, though?
Oh, it's tough.
The meat is still tough.
It's super tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time I catch an eel, I'm going to give it a shot.
But it has to be fresh.
It won't work if it's thawed out or...
You know what?
I think maybe it's because the meat breaks down after.
It even after a couple hours, if you take an eel, if you do like I do, and strip it, fillet it, smell it, beautiful smell. You would eat it. It smells that good.
Yeah.
Try and put it in the freezer. You've taken care of it, and do the same thing. It's hauna.
It is. You're right.
Hauna.
But I know it's like white eel always smells good, even if it's frozen. It still smells great. And I know that's like because it's not a moray.
Right.
It's a different species of eel.
I'm one of the few guys, when I actually reel in a puss head, I'm like, oh yeah, all right. You know, I got good bait.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that last papio I weighed in here, because it was part of a club challenge. It was caught on eel. I had fresh taco. I mean, I had taco with an aerator. I had taken it out that morning, put it in a Ziploc bag, went to my spot. Went through about 3 or 4 pieces, no action. Caught some sand turtles, and sometimes I'll use the taco with the sand turtles, no action. Finally caught an eel. Put the eel on, did what I did, stripped it. That's what the papio bit was, the eel.
Almost immediately after casting it out.
I wouldn't say immediately, but not more than maybe 10 minutes.
That's pretty immediately right there.
Yeah, you know. I mean, I try to, when I'm bait casting, every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't care what bait I have.
But that is, you're right about that, though. When it's a fresh eel, it's actually a decent scent.
No, it's absolutely one of my favorite baits, besides old eel belly.
I'm going to pause this real quick. As soon as we had that conversation, I wanted to, like, because I've seen videos like that online, and I've seen, like, you know, Let's Go Fishing, Hawaii Goes Fishing.
Right.
Even Fishing Tales. And I'm like, those are the kind of conversations I really like, is just people just talking story and telling, storytelling. Storytelling is always big in almost every culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of culture, I've been thinking about this a lot. Wallace is also Portuguese as well.
Yeah.
And when I say Portuguese, no disrespect to the people of Portuguese heritage. Portuguese is just a word that I grew up with. There's this ability to just tell people what you're thinking. And I appreciate that, because through the years, you've corrected me on things.
Right.
And I appreciate that. At first, I'm like, my ego just got checked.
Right.
And I'm going to be, my ego's still kind of like, yada. But you need people like that in your life.
Yeah.
You need people to correct you. You need people sometimes to tell you, hey, Bill, you're being a dummy. And I appreciate that. And you've been one of those people. Wallace is another one like that. And you think that's kind of something from the Portuguese culture?
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
It could.
But I've gotten that from people of other cultures as well, too.
Yeah.
But if you got a friend or an elder, someone in your life that keeps you in line,
Right.
it's always good, because it kind of makes you stop and think, all right, well, that's a behavior that I need to change, or I need to make adjustments.
Right.
And it's coming from somebody you respect, so it's also even better.
Right, yeah.
As opposed to somebody just you don't even know telling you this and that, But I want to let you know, and I've told you before. I appreciate you being that mentor and friend.
Yeah. Well, you've also corrected me too on my okumas, so
that was minor. That was minor.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Yeah. But I didn't know they were 14s. I thought they were 13s.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the Okuma Hawaiian Custom Tree Priest Tournament rod.
Yeah.
You have the 14s. The 14s. Now you've always liked 14-foot rods.
I have, yeah.
And let's talk about your Aloha poles.
Okay.
You started with the one piece.
One piece, probably sabers? I don't even know.
Sabers were stocky.
Okay.
But you're targeting a wheel, so you probably did the lammies, huh?
Lammies, probably, yeah, because those were borrowed.
Okay.
That my dad's co-worker, he was an O'Eo Ulua fisherman.
Yeah, borrowed / never returned kind of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And then from there, I went to the Harnells.
Okay.
And they were also one piece, very soft.
Kind of whippy, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Had that long metal butt,
Heavy. Like almost lead filled.
They were heavy. Yeah.
Was that because it was steel, or they were actually filled with something?
I think it's just because they were steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when the nitros first came out, then I kind of jumped to that because I wanted to get something I could separate.
This is back like first gen nitros with the bow tags.
Yeah. And with jig masters.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that what you're saying is you need to start with a jig master. Don't start with anything else, because jig masters are not the easiest. So once you can learn on a jig master, you can pretty much fish any reel.
I like that. Not everybody's going to agree with it, because it's just like, but the better reel with the better gear ratio and the better casting ability is right there. And why don't I just go with that? I'm like, so many people have learned to cast conventionals with a jig master. It's almost like you're almost handicapping yourself a little bit, because it's not a bearing based spool.
Right.
The gear ratio is slower. But for some reason, it's just a nice training. It's almost like training. And then when you finally get that jig master down, and you've got it to where you can see the spool almost every time you cast, and then you go to something like a Seagate,
right,
or a Thorium,
and
you're just like night and day, and you get like an extra 10, 15 yards cast.
Too much speed to start off with the higher ends.
That's a good point.
It's too much speed.
Too much smooth free spool.
Yes. I can't really, I don't know the scientific, but there's just too much speed. You don't need all that speed.
Yeah, when that spool just is constantly, there's no...
Yeah.
Because if it's just bushings, just metal on metal,
right,
I mean, you're gonna get less resistance and maybe not a smooth free spool.
Right.
So maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep throwing those until you're not backlashing anymore.
Yeah.
You can go a whole fishing nut trip without backlashing.
Yeah.
Then maybe you,
earn it.
yeah,
Earn
you know, yeah,
You know,
earn
that's one
those
thing.
burnt thumbs.
Oh man, looking down and
I know,
blisters
I know.
already form.
Yeah,
The fishing day is over.
right.
You know, you gotta go nurse your thumb now.
Yeah,
And you also gotta break up the backlash.
I know.
Ugh. And we all got you gotta earn your stripes.
Yeah.
A lot of people are willing to do that.
Right, right.
You know, you gotta start with the hand-me-downs, the borrowed poles.
Yeah.
I like that. I like it that my first rod reel was my brother's Penn Pursuit spinning rods, old navy blue with cork butts,
Yeah.
and I lucked out within the first like 4 or 5 months. My brother told me Ulua bait, Tohei,
Wow.
Ewa Beach roll,
Right.
first Ulua. Good fight
Wow.
too. Good
Yeah.
fight.
Dang.
Yeah, you remember your first Ulua?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wasn't really counting the ones in the 10, 11,
Like
you
lower.
know. It was that 2003, that one I caught in the tournament. So, it hasn't been that long. You know, you figure, I was in my 40s when I really caught my first, what I felt significant,
Yeah, 20 plus.
20 plus. Yeah.
Not everybody holds it to the same high standards, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still, like my poles, right? You gave me all those stickers with the Lewis stickers on.
Yeah.
Hey, if I catch a 10-pound Ulua, I'm gonna put a sticker on my pole.
All right.
Yeah. But right now, I think 16 is maybe the smallest recently.
Yeah.
But it's got a sticker on the pole for
Nice.
that. So, yeah, I won't.
So you went from nitros.
Yeah.
What was your next step?
Nitros was to ozones.
Okay.
Those were my banana yellow ozones.
And you liked the ozones. What were the reasons for? Because you had your nitros down.
Yeah.
Why did you like the ozones over the nitros?
Well, this guy was getting rid of them, and it was such a good deal. So I didn't get rid of my nitros.
Yeah.
I just got the ozones, and when I started casting them, I realized, whoa, okay, I really like these.
Yeah.
So I was
14
able to
foot from 13 foot.
14, yeah.
And
Yeah.
what kind of guys they had?
The Hilo guides.
Kilo guys.
Yeah.
And the cast was just substantially different.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a lot more. It just felt a little better.
All right. Lighter too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe a little bit.
I like that process of where you go from poles.
Right,
I've stayed with my nitros. Just it's kind of like out of a loyalty too, because we sell so many nitros here.
Right. Yeah.
That I love the idea of hey, I can tell the guy I use nitros.
Right,
I got
right.
medium heavies and I got heavies.
Right.
Yeah. Mine are custom, but
Yeah.
but I cast the same thing that you're getting into, and then you went from ozones to
Ballistics.
We're talking about Daiwa ballistics.
Yeah.
Maroon
The
ballistics.
maroon first gen.
Okay.
Yeah. The heavy.
And you had those for a long time too.
I had those were my go to
three-piece tournament rods.
absolutely.
I like the way that they could fit in the bed of the truck.
Yeah, absolutely the farthest casting rod I've ever used.
Was it extra heavy or heavy?
It was the heaviest one, so
The
maybe
heaviest-
extra heavy.
extra heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. But they're, so it had to go down to 13 feet, which I didn't care for. But to me, they're like a hot rod with too big an engine and too small a tires.
They're sleek. They're very small profile.
And so, but what happens is, so you can either really just bomb them and get good casts, or you can just blow it all up. You can,
Which mean blow it all up.
you like backlash and, just like, oh my God.
Yeah. When I had mine, I would get like really good casts.
Yeah.
And then as the day progressed and I would get a little bit tired or a little bit something, I'd notice a lot more like bird nest or
Yeah, because it seems like only I don't know that the word, but it seems like only the top quarter of it would actually bend.
yeah. It was all in the tip.
Yeah, and so if
You would really have to have something heavy on it to get a good bend out of
yes,
it.
and so I was probably throwing 9s on those.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I was at 8s when I finally got rid of mine.
Yeah.
But I only had one the whole time. It wasn't you had a pair. Right?
I had the pair, yeah.
Yeah. But then what made you go to the Okumas?
So I had 50 on my Thorium 30s.
Okay.
And I was struggling even on sand to break the line. This line just doesn't seem to break at 50 when it says 50.
Okay.
The line to me is so advanced now. And so I was just struggling just to break the 50.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what? And then I think I had maybe an injury, a back injury. And I was like, I basically got rid of, I sold those. And I had no bait casting poles at all. I pretty much decided I was going to give up on bait casting.
Just go spinners again.
And just go back spinning.
That was your Van Stahl. What was your pole?
12-foot nitros.
Nitro, surf graphite.
Still got them.
Foam grips.
Foam grips are gone. I the real seat finally broke.
Yeah.
So I had Rudy at Waipau Bicycle. He put a new reel seat on for me. But to do that, you have to take the top guide and the foam grip. So he just made a grip. I love it. I haven't used it yet. I just got them back.
So he took off the top part.
Yeah.
And then the bottom part too. But what did he put on it after?
Just the reel seat that they have.
But is what like X-Flock grip or something on it, or?
Oh, you mean what? No, it's just something just old school.
Like rope almost kind of.
Yeah, but no rope, just kind of like grit in it.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that.
I got you.
Yeah. So
Nice.
they're definitely going to be one of a kind.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
Butt cap.
No, because he went from the top. So you had to take the guide off.
Okay.
And then he had to take that.
Oh, so just the
foam.
top section he took off, not the bottom part of it.
Not the top.
But the bottom still get the Evo foam grips.
Still has.
I got you.
Yeah.
It's a great rod. Like I like the Nitro Surf Graphite, and I like the C-Tex, because to me it's like we take other styles of rods and we adapt them to the way that we fish. But the Nitro line, the Nitro Ulua poles, the C-Tex, the Pluses, the Graphites, all those Nitros, those were all developed from a Hawaii standpoint. Like they all have that bend, that style. It's just you don't find it in all the rods. Like you go from the rod I recommend to everybody right now is the 12-foot Battalion Surf.
Right.
It's the perfect length. It's the perfect action. It's rated up to 40-pound test and all that. But it doesn't have that same bend that Nitro has. Even the C-Tech, it's only rated up to 17-pound test, but I mean, you can cast an ounce and a half, and the bend is just that old school.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it'll go 45 degrees on you.
I caught my 2 biggest Olua on my Nitros, my Van Stahl spinners.
Nitro Graphite.
Natural Graphite, 40-pound tests.
You might not be able to bomb the heaviest lead.
Yeah.
Because you can feel it when you load it up with a 5 or a 6.
5 is what I use.
It's bouncy, It's really bouncy. Like a 4 and a 5 is kind of like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But I like that feel. Maybe it's just the old school feel.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything else now is just kind of like even my Okumas, they have it's like I don't get always the greatest cast with them.
I really like my Okumas.
I think for castability, I think that the conventional, it feels like a conventional rod.
It absolutely. When I put a spinner on it, I didn't like it.
And maybe that's what I'm dealing with now, because I'm not getting my best cast with it.
I love it. Of course, I changed, right? I went from the to the the HG, the 30?
Yeah.
From the Thorium 30 to that, which was just like, wow, mind-blowing.
Yeah. I love the low profile on the 30 HG.
But so that paired with the Okuma 14.
Cherry, yeah.
To be honest with you, absolutely the best setup I've ever thrown. better than the ballistic. Maybe if the ballistic had the HG on it, I don't know.
You never did try it out?
I didn't have them yet, the HGs.
Yeah.
But that setup with 40-pound tests. Yeah.
But the HCS, you can tell based on its sizes and everything, those are born from the same like family. Like the
right.
3-piece tournament rod series, 3-piece tournament rod series. And they're all kind of like based off the same blanks.
Right, right.
So it's kind of what I felt like when I first put one together.
Yeah.
And I realized it was for a spinner. I'm like, wow, this is like when cheap ballistic, you know, like $200 cheaper, you know,
and that's
retail.
And what I like about them is, I don't know, maybe it's my set, but I never struggle to get them
Mine.
disconnected.
I got issues with mine.
See, so that's why I'm like, nope, I never, knock on wood, I never have issues with getting them disconnected.
Actually, when I started having issues when I'm getting disconnected, I took a fine grit sandpaper.
Yeah.
And the one that was giving me headaches, like where it'd just be like, oh,
Right.
shouldn't be this hard, you know, finally get it. I took a low grit sandpaper, and then I took actual beeswax.
Okay.
Like, you got to make sure it's not like surf wax, because that's for grip.
Right, right.
So it's actual beeswax, and I just rubbed a little bit on. I smoothed it out with a napkin. I tried to wipe off as much as you could, and it's cherry. But I had, you know, like, I feel like maybe it absorbed a little bit of water through the years or whatever, and it kind of swelled up the graphite a little bit.
Right.
So I took a small little bit off of it, and then I put the wax, and I put wax on all the joints.
Okay.
But you know, it's just like you put it on, and you don't leave it goopy, because the goopiness is going to be. It's just basically, it's almost like a wax coat.
Right, right.
But real beeswax, super sticky, super hard too.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's one of the little techniques.
Yeah.
But mine got stuck real bad one time. Yeah.
No. Another trick I learned from my grandma. Before you put the poles together, right here.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Take from here, and then take from behind your ear.
A little bit of wax.
Yep, from behind your ear, rub it on that. You know, because you're out in the field, right?
Yeah.
I don't have anything. Yeah, just a little from there.
A little bit of oil.
A little from there and there. Good to go.
Put it on the joint of it.
Put it on that, that part.
You still do it?
I still do it.
Nice.
I still do it. Yeah.
I love that. Little traditions through the days.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's up with this book?
Well, I mean, I see all your books are signed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I got this, like I said, at the Pearl Ridge used books.
Oh, what is it called? Book Off.
Book Off.
Yeah.
And so I seen it, and
The Choi of Cooking from Sam Choi.
And I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy. It was $5.
Did you know it was signed when you got it?
I did not know it was signed.
Autographed by Sam Choi.
Yeah. And so I said, you know, Bill's got all these signed books, you know.
Add to the collection.
Like, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
A little bust up, but
we'll cut it off here. And,
Okay.
and I think I've already said thank you for being you.
Hey, you know what? I'm very proud of what you've accomplished. Serious.
I appreciate
If
that.
the guys knew where you grew up,
Yeah.
Honolulu Street is a tough street to grow up on.
Wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up on Hanakai Street, but yeah.
Yeah.
But what you have accomplished is amazing. To build a fishing store in Hawaii is nearly impossible. If you don't own the building, or if you don't have somebody bankrolling you, or if you're not paying a mortgage, maybe you're living with your parents still, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you've
It hasn't
accomplished.
been easy, and the struggle still continues to this day.
Yeah.
My main thing is I want to make sure keep it going, and I love the fact that, like, you know, my whole dream was to create the fishing website.
Right.
That was the initial plan, and that's pretty much what we've done.
Yeah.
But out of the deal, my neighborhood, my hometown, it gets a top-notch tackle shop, you know?
Right.
Like right here in the neighborhood.
Right. And the reason I do this is, you know, I'm not the type, I don't really like to, you know, if we're one-on-one at the beach, I will portage you out forever.
Yeah.
But I don't like to go on, you know, but I want to support you any way I can.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Any way I can. Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome, man.
All right. And if you like this video, you guys know what to do. Leave a like on the video. It helps us reach other viewers. And definitely, if you guys enjoyed the conversation, leave a comment on the video. Mahalo for watching. Aloha.